Hi everyone, hope you had a wonderful weekend and welcome to a Monday Rapid Fire. Just some quick housekeeping, guys. If you haven't already, check out my first 60 minutes of the macro episode I did last week for the masterminds. It's 16 minutes long, but it's actually 43 minutes in total. Masterminds get complete access to that. So I had a ton of fun filming this as just macro. Really no crypto related focus there at all, but there were intertwining narratives which I wanted to bring to the fore. The AI narrative in terms of the commodity booms, copper, silver, gold, that was really fascinating for me. Data centers, China stockpiling, a lot of this stuff. Also look at Taiwan, look at Trump, the conviction, and a few other points there as well, as you can see. We'll go down, yield curve inversion. Some of those questions were mastermind generated, so that was really, really great. So if you are interested in having some more of this advanced content every single week, that's what we do at the mastermind level, including the Discord. I know Joe put out a video explaining what we do there, but wanted to share that in case, well, not in case, because I've seen some comments pop up in these posts just sort of saying it cuts out abruptly after 16 minutes. That is by design, guys. So if you want to watch the full version, get in contact with the team and you can watch the rest. Also, some more housekeeping. If you weren't aware, we also, for graduates watching this, we also have a graduates messenger chat in Facebook, which is just prolific. We have so many people in there adding thoughts, feelings, crypto, everything. But of late, it's gone a little bit off the rails into a bit of political talk. And again, there's a lot of emotions riding on that. Started with more of a crypto focus with the politics and Trump's conviction and whatnot. But we know how everyone feels about this. There's two polarized opposites and some people in between. And it just, again, it can go off the rails and it removes the group from what its original intention was. And I just want to make that clear. I know Joe posted in there as well, the two Joes, just saying, can we keep it more on topic, guys, and try and lift everyone up versus creating a bit of a negative air. So I don't want anyone to feel like they can't post in there or if it's feeling like a hostile environment. So we are going to stay on top of that as admins and moderate that a little bit better. But if you weren't aware, we have that group. So please join it because the team often pop in there and share some thoughts and feelings about the market and some ideas going forward. All right, let's crack into the meat of this. I just wanted to give everyone an update on the Ethereum ETFs. They're coming along in the pipeline. It's a bit different from the Bitcoin ETFs where we had the approval and then a few days afterwards, we had the launch where we had inflows directly and then we had the GBTC effect, the selling effect, if you weren't aware. So Ethereum's a bit more of a slow burn. It's giving the market a lot more runway to try and either price this in or just have a think about capital flows and whether people want to pre-position or they're waiting for afterwards. I'm kind of on the bias that people were expecting a similar scenario. We get a big dip into it, and we probably do get a bit of a sell the news event into launch. But I think just the way Ethereum has been just so beaten down the last year, and by beaten down, I mean it's still up. It's above 3,000. It's been a nice high-low, high formation, but it's just been a bit boring. It hasn't really outperformed Bitcoin at all, according to FBTC. And I just suspect that sentiment was pretty much at a rock bottom. So I think it's a pretty good risk-reward play if you're looking to accumulate and move in, sooner rather than later, and then add on dips. But we saw here that most of the issuers have filed their S1 amendment, so that's for the spot Ethereum ETF. Franklin Templeton came in with a fee of 0.19, so the competition is heating up. But why I'm showing you this is because I just wanted to provide some insight for everyone that it is coming. It's probably, according to James, coming in back end of this month, maybe in the next few weeks at earliest, but end of this month or July. So that's what we're thinking at the moment. It's not too far away. Also, I wanted to have a look at the historical performance. If you weren't, haven't bookmarked this website, caseforbitcoin.com. This is where you can sort of screenshot some great performance charts and send them to friends that are a bit down on Bitcoin and crypto in terms of the performance. So you can know what you're talking about with actual data. It's this website here. It's fantastic. So if you weren't aware of it, there you go. But down here, just wanted to have a look about Bitcoin performance in halving years, but US election years. I think it's an interesting point in June. So if we go back to 2020, the last halving and US election year 4 years ago, because these things run in 4-year cycles, like Bitcoin halving, funny that. If we go to June here, so you can see the price fluctuated at $1,000 range essentially, up and down a little bit volatile, but the real boom sort of came in July and then more sideways and then expansion there. This time might be a little bit different in the respect that we've made an all-time high a bit earlier, a bit more advanced than usual. So historical data, it's not an indication of future performance, but wanted to just share with you seasonality, where capital flows tend to gravitate towards in these election years, when historically we have been through more tightening phases and then we see an expansion into the election. So it's just very, very interesting. If we go over to 2016, go back to June, it was actually a positive month. So relatively back then with the market cap, it was much, much lower. We saw fluctuation, open at $532, close 668, but it was up almost at 800. So fair bit of positive volatility there for Bitcoin in June of that last halving. So yeah, I think this month the door is open for us to have an uptick, a positive uptick, but we do have to pay attention to what the chart is telling us in terms of just zooming out and not getting stuck in the minutiae, that short-term nonsense, which just drives people absolutely nuts. And in a very simple respect, I have this chart drawn, which I did just before, was range high, 73,000, really easy to see. And this is on the weekly. So in fact, let's go to the daily, might provide us a bit more insight. Or a bit more, yeah, there you go, a bit more nuance. This very clearly is the range high. You get above that, bullish. We get below the range low, bearish. In between, neutral. I guess we're in no man's land. Nothing has happened, but this setup is a really nice compression after a break from the support level it held, and then higher. So higher highs, higher lows, compression on the right shoulder, almost like a cup and handle formation. Don't mind that at all. And that's why I say we could have a run at the range high this month. And then we're going to have to see how the market really digests and move into that region. I mean, the Stochh RSI is in a really great spot. Every time we've been, and this is a good marker of trend for daily, weekly, monthly, when we're at the top or the bottom of the Stochh RSI, it can indicate a flip in that trend. And just in recent times, that base has provided that little uptick and upthrust. RSI sloping up nicely, but importantly, it's in the mid-range. It's recovered from that low. Down here, market is obviously wanted to provide some support underneath it. Just wanted to quickly touch on the weekly close as well. And we'll get rid of some of that crayon. Okay, so the weekly is sort of flashing similar signals to me. The bulls have all the room in the world to push this higher if they want. Stochh RSI crossed over down here on support, fantastic, and now we're just sloping up. So again, each time that we've seen this on the weekly, that low, boom, low, boom, low, boom. So I think it's definitely on the cards. The normal RSI is just underneath the power zone, so it's got a lot of room to move. What we do have to watch out for is potential, overall bearish divergence if price starts to pump up here to 100K, but the RSI has only moved up slightly, and we get this pretty significant bear divergence forming. Again, you have to wait for confirmation. This is the thing, you can see a bearish or a bullish divergence on the chart. It is a divergence forming, but it is not confirmed. You have to wait for either the support level or the resistance level to break in order to confirm that. So it's kind of like you have to wait for it to unfold, but you can spot it early and plan for it and then move from that. So I just wanted to have a look as well at Bitcoin dominance, because I'm getting a lot of chatter and questions around altcoin season. I see a lot of impatience out there for people, and just putting it out there that we're actually more advanced than we were last cycle. Like I said, with Bitcoin with that all-time high. So the returns on altcoins, we really have to wait. I'm not going to say when they're going to come, because I just don't know. We're going to see Bitcoin walled garden. We've already seen that effect. We've seen Ethereum ETF coming, which likely has another walled garden effect. And I suspect we need to see significantly higher prices in both of those to see the spillover into altcoins and bring the liquidity back, which is in line with the macro, where liquidity engines are starting to drive again. They're not pumping at all into any great magnitude, but they're starting to climb back up. M2 is expanding, M1, all that. So positivity is coming, but I think you just have to play the obvious trade. The institutional money flows is where the market is sitting right now. It's Bitcoin, that's Ethereum. Anything outside of that is just speculation. What you can have a look at here is Bitcoin dominance. When this does collapse, when this falls over, and it will eventually, just from what we've seen historically, again, not an indicator of future performance, but people's psychology will repeat. Speculators want to speculate and move their Bitcoin to make more Bitcoin, or move their Ethereum to make more Ethereum. When this does fall over here, when it loses its 53, 54 level, right now it looks like it wants to beeline for 60% dominance. So if you weren't aware of this chart, this is the Bitcoin dominance chart, shows you the entire capital allocation of the market and how much of the capital in the crypto sphere is in Bitcoin. And if this chart is going up, Bitcoin is sucking the oxygen from all the altcoins and that capital is going to Bitcoin. If this chart is falling over, like we saw back here after the halving in 2020, you can see here there's just one-way train downwards. Altcoins were just grabbing all the liquidity from Bitcoin and the market was just raging. So that's what we really want to see again. We want to see this just top out finally or fall over. And if she can start to fall beneath this red line here, which I've got here, that 51%, that's when we're going really hard into the altcoins. It's probably, in my view, it's probably around Bitcoin's around 100K or just a little bit lower. And then when we get down here in this territory, this is the 2018-21 alt season top. So you can see down here, this was 2017-18, exact same area. So are we going to come down here again, or are we going to make a lower low where altcoins rage? I don't know. But just in the short term, you need to pay attention to what Bitcoin's doing and where the capital flows are going. But just a quick one on Ethereum. Do not sleep on this. And there's this real urge, and I just want to urge caution. There's a real urge, I want to urge caution, of going heavily into Ethereum beta plays. It may pay off, but there's a serious risk there that you're going to, like with Bitcoin, get sucked into that beta play narrative, and you're going to underperform the actual asset that has the ETF. People have that psychology of like, well, when Bitcoin is sort of tops out, where BTC tops out here, I'm going to move into Ethereum because I want to capture that narrative. But then when the time is right to do that, which is kind of now with the ETF coming, you kind of go, well, how can I make more than the returns that I'm going to get on Ethereum? And that's, as an investor, you should really weigh that up. And there's absolutely, as part of your risk profile and how you want to have your strategy structured. But the safest play right now is Ethereum. And you must look at something like ETH dominance as well in that regard. Because ETH, again, if you're not outperforming ETH or Bitcoin, you may as well just be in Bitcoin and Ethereum and have much lower risk, much lower volatility. Because everyone wants to, just throw it into an altcoin and make a ton of money. But again, if they are not performing Bitcoin and Ethereum, there is no point whatsoever being in them in terms of a risk standpoint and a return standpoint. But Ethereum building nicely here. I had this sort of chart drawn over there as an idea of just a sort of structure that's building in my eyes. Could be an ascending wedge where we sort of blast up through 4,000 into the ETF, and afterwards there is that thought though that sell the news could absolutely happen, and if we just get weaker here, we could drop down into these kind of regions and really test out that liquidity and feel out some of these Fibonacci retracement areas. But again, Ethereum is one of those things I just feel most people are underallocated, and the market is underpositioned. So any dips will be shallow and bought up fairly quickly, because we saw what happened with Bitcoin after the ETF. It got to 45,000 without an ETF and got to 73,000 with an ETF, and likely above 6 digits sometime soon. So people are going to want Ethereum. Institutions love Ethereum. They want to get a hold of it. It's a lower market cap coin, so it will take less capital inflows to really move it. And I think this Thursday, excuse me, for my newsletter, I'm going to look into Ethereum potential capital inflows, what kind of movement that might have on the actual price, and we'll go from there. Guys, I hope you've had a wonderful day, and we'll catch you again for our next one. Bye-bye.